Hey, it's Chris Goff, and in this training video, I'm going to walk you through my wholesaling contract to purchase agreement you will sign with the seller or when doing a double close with another investor. I've been using this contract for over 20 years and has the most basic information you need to close that next deal. I'm also going to share with you my exit clauses that you need to have in every contract to protect your. You don't want to be that wholesaler that's using some shady contract found in an old get-rich-quick program, and there are a lot out there. I'm going to break down each line of the contract and explain what it means in detail so you have the confidence to present it to the seller because you know they're going to ask you questions about it. And most importantly, I want you to understand it. And if you want to get a free copy of it, I'll show you how to do that at the end. Let's not waste any more time and jump in. Line 1. Here we need to identify the parties involved. So first enter the seller's name and make sure you have all sellers listed here, especially if there's more than one owner. Agrees to sell and convey to, here's where you want to put in your name. Or should it be in your company's name? There's only one reason why you'd put it in your personal name. It's because maybe you're just getting started and you can't afford an LLC or business entity right now. Otherwise, this needs to be in your company's name. Heck, when I got started over 20 years ago, I didn't even know what an LLC was. Everything went in my name. But eventually I wised up after eating lunch with my new attorney. Agrees to buy from seller the following described real estate, together with all improvements thereon and all pertinent rights located at. So obviously you need to put in the property address, city, state, and zip. I also want you to put in the legal description, which is the exact location on earth. This piece of land. So the legal description can be found in REI Pro as well as your local tax assessor. It looks like this. So line 2, we need to enter the purchase price that you and the seller agreed to. It's also a good idea not only to put in the numbers, but spell it out like a check. For those of you that are my age, because I don't think this generation knows what I'm talking about. Let's look at line 3, which is the conditions of purchase. First, you need to put down some earnest money with your local title company or closing attorney. This is the place you're going to be closing the transaction. Now, in most states, $10 is the minimum, but most sellers aren't going to agree to that. I've never personally put down more than $500. Keep in mind that this deposit does not go to the seller. The last thing you need is for the seller to take your money and sell the property to someone else. Although I have a way to prevent this, which I won't be covering in this training, but you could check out any saved property in REI Pro and go to step 6, where I go into detail about this. Now here's where your exit clause is, which is B. Subject to review, inspection, and written approval of my financial partner. This clause needs to be in every contract you sign with the seller. This clause will allow you to back out of the deal if you can't find a buyer. So you may be asking who your financial partner is. Great question, and the answer is very simple. It could be anyone: spouse, friend, business partner, your dog. It really doesn't matter because you're not disclosing who this is. Now, if the seller asks you about this, just simply reply by saying that it's just a business partner and move on. Out of the hundreds of wholesale deals, maybe less than 10% of sellers ask what this is. If you build a solid relationship in the beginning, this won't come up. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because your ultimate goal is to close this deal. If you need an extension on the closing date, just ask the seller. Okay, line C. Buyer may place appropriate sign on the property prior to closing for prospective tenants, contractors, and/or signs. If the property is vacant, you should have this clause in the contract. It may be difficult for the seller to understand if they live there. So if they live there, take this sentence out unless the seller really doesn't care who buys it. Line D. Seller agrees to allow buyer to show property to prospective partners, contractors, and/or inspectors prior to closing. This one is mandatory because you'll need to show the property to your buyers list. This also allows your buyers' contractors to come and see and estimate repairs. Of course, it all has to go through you first. Line 4. Is there an addendum to this contract? So an addendum is an additional piece of paper that discloses anything extra that's not stated in this agreement. So let's say that there are additional things included with the property, such as a portable shed, lawn equipment, even a car. Yes, that's right. I've wholesaled several properties where there was an abandoned car included. Too bad I wasn't in the we buy ugly cars business. Most of the time, this will be no. Okay, line 5. Is this transaction all cash or terms? In most cases, this will be an all-cash deal where the seller will receive one lump sum at closing. Yes, you can buy this on a seller finance, and that's what we call terms. And wholesale the seller finance agreement. In this case, you would need an addendum to spell out the terms of that agreement. So if you could get the seller to take terms, you'll sell this deal much faster. Because if an investor doesn't have to pay in one lump sum today, that would be a no-brainer. They could fix it up and sell or refinance it later down the road and pay off the seller. Line 6. Possession is to be given on or before the date of closing. Now, this is just standard language that needs to be in here. Okay, line 7. Seller agrees to pay all taxes and assessments up to including the date of the title transfer. Again, just some more standard language. And of course, this could be negotiable as well. Line 8. Closing costs shall be paid by whom? It's either the seller, the purchaser, or it could be a little bit of both. Now, if you could get the seller to pay towards closing costs, that's great. But most of the time, in order to get a better deal, we will include the closing cost. Line 9. Closing date shall be on or before when? This is where you want to give yourself 60 to 90 days to close in order to find that buyer. Now, keep in mind that it's on or before. If you find a buyer tomorrow, then you can close tomorrow. You'll want to explain this to the seller that it's on or before because obviously your goal is to close this as soon as possible. With the title to the above described real estate to be conveyed by a warranty deed, title is to be free, clear, and unencumbered, free of building orders, subject to zoning regulations of record, and accept easements and restrictions of record. Line 10. This offer, when accepted, comprises the entire agreement of purchaser and seller, and it is agreed that no other representations or agreements have been made or relied on. Again, this is just standard language that needs to be in here. Line 11. This offer is to remain open for acceptance until when? Now, ultimately, I want the seller to sign it right now before they change their mind. But I also understand that some sellers will want their attorneys to review this contract. So in this case, ask the seller how long they need and enter those days here. Now, you don't want to go weeks and weeks. This needs to happen very soon. Remember, this is not a signed agreement until they sign. Now, simply date and sign. If you're signing on behalf of your company, which you should, you'll sign your name. You're either a member or manager of your company name. So as an example, Chris Goff, manager of 360 Real Estate Solutions, LLC. And that's it. Now be sure to have 2 copies, one for you and one for the seller. Now it's time to find that buyer and make some money. Let me give you one last tip. Do not send this contract to the title company until you found another buyer and have either signed the deal or fill out this contract again when doing a double close. Once you have both contracts, the one with the seller, the one with the new buyer, then take them down to the title company or closing attorney. Hey, thanks for watching. And if you want to receive a free copy of this contract, all you need to do is sign up for a free trial of REI Pro. Go to the Business Center, click Contracts, and you can download this contract for free. Now, if you're not familiar with REI Pro, it's a one-stop real estate investing powerhouse tool that will help you find deals and walk you through the entire buying and selling process. And you don't need any experience to get started. You should go check that out and sign up for a free trial. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel because I put out new content every week. And smash that like button. It really helps me out. And I'll see you on the next trading video.